Just shortly before we begin the continual reading of A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, that's an opportunity to just ask ourselves the intention for reading this book, for listening. Maybe this will reaffirm almost the essence of the journey we are embarking on. And I always tend to mention, after referencing a journey, to say a journey of no distance, something that Eckhart and other teachers I've heard say as well. In a sense, this is a journey, but it's not one of progression. It's not one of advancement, of achievement. Everything else in this world, the forms, there is effort and there is success, there's failure, there's progression and regression. But this is a journey of uncovering, meaning that it is already there. There's nothing to create or to succeed in. Perhaps you are listening to this, or we are together reading to, because we've had enough suffering in our lives. Or it may be from the perspective that you feel ready to go deeper into your nature, to transcend the mind. And this in some respects means transcending what we previously thought of as our life. The things we think, the things we like and dislike, the people in our lives, our opinions and judgments of them, our mental structures of the people in our life, our social networks, our mental formations around who we think we are, where we were born, or where we have been. Any sort of credentials of this job or this degree or that university degree. So we are here to perhaps go deeper than this surface level. To discover from form to the formless, to the dimension of form which is taken in by the senses and interpreted by the mind, to the indescribable, limitless place of no form. A dimension where the mind cannot travel to. Believe in the Power of Now, Eckhart referenced, and there may have been a picture, I can't quite remember, of an iceberg. Now the top of the iceberg was sticking out of the water, but 75 or more percent, 2/3 of the iceberg or more, were below the water. And it was referencing, I believe, the depth of who we are. We are not, the jobs we do, the people in our lives, our relationships. Those things have a place. Those things have, you can honor those things. But it's to recognize the depth of the formless, the depth that's unseen, that's below the water. Of course, you may just be reading this for curiosity. There may not be any urge to go deeper, to discover, and that's fine as well. But I thought I'd pose this question just to, for myself, to reaffirm for myself why I'm reading this, and it may be a useful question for yourself as well. So we are on the section, we are still in the first chapter, chapter 1, and we are in a section titled The Urgency of Transformation. When faced with a radical crisis, when the old way of being in the world, of interacting with each other and with the realm of nature doesn't work anymore, when survival is threatened by seemingly insurmountable problems, an individual life form or a species will either die or become extinct or rise above the limitations of its condition through an evolutionary leap. It is believed that the life forms on this planet first evolved in the sea. When there were no animals yet to be found on land, the sea was already teeming with life. Then, at some point, one of the sea creatures must have started to venture onto dry land. It would perhaps crawl a few inches at first, then, exhausted by the enormous gravitational pull of the planet, it would return to the water, where gravity is almost non-existent, and where it could live with much greater ease. And then it tried again, and again, and again, and much later would adapt to life on land, grow feet instead of fins, develop lungs instead of gills. It seems unlikely that a species would venture into such an alien environment and undergo an evolutionary transformation unless it was compelled to do so by some crisis situation. There may have been a large sea area that got cut off from the main ocean, where the water gradually receded over thousands of years, forcing fish to leave their habitat and evolve. Responding to a radical crisis that threatens our very survival, this is humanity's challenge now. The dysfunction of the egoic human mind, recognized already more than 2,500 years ago by the ancient wisdom teachers, and now magnified through science and technology, is for the first time threatening the survival of the planet. Until very recently, the transformation of human consciousness, also pointed to by the ancient teachers, was no more than a possibility realized by a few rare individuals here and there, irrespective of cultural or religious background. A widespread flowering of human consciousness did not happen because it was not yet imperative. A significant portion of the Earth's population will soon recognize, if they haven't already done so, that humanity is now faced with a stark choice: evolve or die. A still relatively small but rapidly growing percentage of humanity is already experiencing within themselves the breakup of the old egoic mind patterns and the emergence of a new dimension of consciousness. What is arising now is not a new belief system, a new religion, spiritual ideology, or mythology. We are coming to the end not only of mythologies, but also of ideologies and belief systems. The change goes deeper than the consent of your mind, deeper than your thoughts. In fact, at the heart of the new consciousness lies the transcendence of thought, the newfound ability of rising above thought, of realizing a dimension within yourself that is infinitely more vast than thought. You then no longer derive your identity, your sense of who you are, from the incessant stream of thinking that in the old consciousness you take to be yourself. What a liberation to realize that the voice in my head is not who I am. Who am I then? The one who sees that. The awareness that is prior to thought, the space in which the thought or the emotion or sense perception happens. Ego is no more than this: identification with form, which primarily means thought forms. If evil has any reality, and it has a relative, not an absolute reality, this is also its definition: complete identification with form, physical forms, thought forms, emotional forms. This results in a total unawareness of my connectedness with the whole, my intrinsic oneness with every other, as well as with the source. This forgetfulness is original sin, suffering, delusion. When this delusion of utter separateness underlies and governs whatever I think, say, and do, what kind of world do I create? To find the answer to this, observe how humans relate to each other. Read a history book or watch the news on television tonight. If the structures of the human mind remain unchanged, we will always end up recreating fundamentally the same world, the same evils, the same dysfunction. Okay, that's the end of that section. And there is a short section left before we get to chapter 2, so I think it's a good idea to continue. This section is called A New Heaven and a New Earth. The inspiration for the title of this book came from a Bible prophecy that seems more applicable now than at any other time in human history. It occurs in both the Old and the New Testament and speaks of the collapse of the existing world order and the arising of a new heaven and a new earth. We need to understand here that heaven is not a location but refers to the inner realm of consciousness. This is the esoteric meaning of the word, and this is also its meaning in the teachings of Jesus. Earth, on the other hand, is the outer manifestation in form, which is always a reflection of the inner. Collective human consciousness and life on our planet are intrinsically connected. A new heaven is the emergence of a transformed state of human consciousness, and a new earth is its reflection in the physical realm. Since human life and human consciousness are intrinsically one with the life of the planet, as the old consciousness dissolves, there are bound to be synchronistic geographic and climatic natural upheavals in many parts of the planet, some of which we are already witnessing now. So that's the end of chapter 1, and perhaps it's a good time to end the episode here. And usually I would have continued, but what I'm going to do is listen to Eckhart's recording of chapter 1, where he speaks to Oprah in depth in regards to each chapter of A New Earth, so he clarifies further. So I thought for myself that may be a helpful way to digest and to get a better understanding of what we are reading. And I believe you can find this on any podcast platform. If you type in, if you search something like Oprah and Eckhart, A New Earth, any of the, you should be able to use a combination of those to get access to them. And I believe he has a recording for each episode, so I'll just look how many chapters there are. Recording for each chapter. So I think there are 10 chapters, I may be wrong. Yeah, so there are 10 chapters, and this could be a good accompanying audio to get an even better understanding. So I'm going to listen to that before moving on to chapter 2. Okay, so thank you for joining me for today. I wish you well in this moment, and I will speak to you again very soon. Take care.